Hello, everybody, and welcome to another Business Spotlight interview. And this is really interesting today. I'm really looking forward to interviewing this gentleman. I'd like to introduce Tom from TM Engineering, ENG Limited,
Thanks.
not Engineering ENG Limited. Tom, tell us
Yes.
about your business.
Um, so we're quite a small business in Ilkeston in the Midlands, and we focus mainly around uh, sort of restoration and rebuild of vintage vehicles, but we also go into light and sort of semi-industrial fabrication welding projects and things like that. So we've done a lot of work with lorries and near everything and everything, to be honest. It's a bit of a variety of a job, but it's all to do with fabrication and welding and general engineering. So um, that's the
Right,
that's the
right. So,
general
so
gist.
you're actually basically repairing and maintaining vehicles. I mean, sort of, is it old vehicles or what are we talking about here?
Yes, so it's more the sort of specialist sort of vehicles. So the likes of the Escorts, the Mark IIs, Jensen Interceptors, Rolls Royce, that sort of prestige line of vehicles, which most of them tend to rot, and most of them then end up in my workshop for varying degrees of sort of restoration work. And I've developed a bit of a community with a few of the local paint shops and body shops and sort of general mechanics around the area, where I'm then their sort of offload for that kind of work. And that's the main bread and butter work, but we do get the larger scale projects. So we've got one coming up. I'm actually going to measuring up for it tomorrow, which is a 2,500 gallon tank going onto a lorry. So I've got to do all the bracketry and auxiliaries and fitting all that up. But that's for a customer we've had for a good couple of years now. So developed quite a nice relationship with them, and I get regular pieces coming through. So that's
Brilliant.
that's the lion's share of the work. Yeah.
Okay, that's absolutely fascinating. So, you know, engineer, tell us about your story. How did you actually start becoming an
So
engineer?
so I came from a background of very practical people. My uncle, my granddad, granddad blacksmith, farrier, that sort of line. Went into engineering. My uncle, very similar, agricultural engineering. Um, Even my mum, fully trained joiner and carpenter, and I kind of followed along those lines. So when I was 13, I started working at part time at a machine shop in Sheffield called Air Accessories, manufacturing pneumatic components and aluminium sort of protective housings that would go around machines. So I worked there part time from 13 to sort of just after I turned 18, and that was so I worked. That was the likes of the evenings, weekends, and like through the holidays and stuff like that for the pocket money. And at 18, I thought, okay, I want a change, so I moved from Sheffield to Ilkeston, and got an apprenticeship at a company called Garmandale Engineering, who brilliantly put me through all of my training and my background and my education. And I ended up, after 7 years, I finished my apprenticeship technically with it was a first class honours degree in mechanical engineering,
Brilliant.
all through day release, part-time studying and things like that. And I worked there for a further 2 years. And sort of in the background, I was working along on weekends doing stuff for people that I'd developed connections with. And I'd had a few people say to me, "Oh, go self-employed, do this, that, and you'll enjoy it." And I thought, well, if we're going to do it properly. So it wasn't a case of just kind of going, "Oh, self-employed." I thought, no, I want to start a business with the view of it, possibly kind of progressing to the point where we're, employing a few people. Things can be a bit steadier on my side, and be your own boss, which was really quite appealing. And so that's where that all started. And then I initially took the plunge. So the business was incorporated it's in April, beginning of April of this year, and we're still here, still going. So it's miracles have happened here. But yeah, no. So that's a bit of the story. So, but
That's a fantastic story. I mean, moving up, getting first class honours degree, and then how did you feel when you said, right, I'm going to go for this, and you incorporated your business a few months ago?
um, I'd be lying if I said excitement was the main feeling there. The main, I'd say to sort of 60-70% of what I was feeling was excitement. It was definitely what I wanted to do. I'd be lying if I said I wasn't nervous and thinking, oh, okay, everything now falls with me. Everything that I do, everything that I look at, or everything, it lands with me. There's no kind of safety net to it. It's, it is daunting to start with, but as soon as you start getting those customers coming in and getting them coming back, it does help build your credibility, and you start feeling a little bit more confident with your ability, I suppose. And yeah, no, it was daunting, but very much the right thing. I wanted to do it. There was a drive there for it, so I wasn't in any doubt. And the way I figured, if I can do a year, I can do two, and hopefully it just carries on from there.
Well, I'm sure it will. It was absolutely fascinating. That is a great kind of description of the excitement, but also, as you say, daunting and a little bit going, oh, crikey, but this is great. I'm my own. And how do you feel about being your own boss?
It's brilliant. Don't get me wrong, it's tough. There's days where you go, oh, I just, or you've quoted for a job and you go, I kind of, it'd be a tricky one, and they go, yep, we'll have it, no problem. And then you kind of sat there going, well, damn, know full well it's going to be a really tough one. And you have days where, it can be like, but so it's not always a case of motivation. I want to say, don't get me wrong, you've got to be motivated to do it every day. No one's telling you to turn up. No one's telling you got to be here by 8. You got to be leaving at 5. So you've got to be motivated. But if you can't, you have to be disciplined at the very least. And yeah, I love it. I love the fact that, if I'm having a week where things have gone to plan, I've had a few invoices being paid, and I'm going, okay, I've not got any major deadlines. And like Monday and Tuesday, and it'd be like Wednesday or Thursday at like 2 in the afternoon, and I go, it's a sunny day, I might go out on the bike for an hour or two, and you haven't got to seek permission for that. You can just go and do it, and that doesn't get old. That feels great.
For being in business should give you more life. Absolutely fantastic.
Definitely. The work-life balance is just so crucial, and it's become more kind of mainstream, I want to say, in the past, let's say 10 years or so. That whole kind of, no, you need to have time for yourself. You need to be able to go, nope, that's it, that's me done for now. It'll still be here tomorrow. Go and have an hour or two and then come back. And that's become more acceptable once you're self-employed, or working for yourself at least. But
being a business owner, not self-employed, it's
yeah, limited, that's right.
Limited. To remember that, which is absolutely fantastic. So, so through this process, what's been your biggest learning?
I obviously had, I can't think now, sort of probably, part-time and then full-time, maybe 13 years or so in industry. So the ability side of things, though you always have doubts about it, that's always, I kind of know what I'm doing. So that's always like a nice safety net. So I think the learning curve, the biggest side of things, is the actual business side of stuff. So, it's managing money in, money out, all these new terms, the new jargon. You've got to deal with accountants who are their own separate thing, and keeping everything coming in at the right time, going out at the right time. It's all well and good being able to do the job, but you have to then learn almost an entirely new industry overnight, in terms of running business and how a business works. And that I would say has been the most difficult one, but it's also the one that I think comes quickest. So yes, it's tough, but if you have half a day a week where you go, I'm going to sit down, I'm going to do my paperwork, I'm going to send me emails, sort me invoices, do all that, you very quickly kind of pick up right from wrong. And it only takes, I want to say it only takes a couple of mistakes for you to go, yeah, okay, I'm not going to make those mistakes again. Because they can be more costly than what you've previously had. So that's always kind of looming over you. It's like, check it again. So,
Brilliant. What a great
yeah.
share. What a
Yeah.
great share. So what does the future look like for you, and what do you see as the main challenges going forwards?
Honestly, at this point in time, my main challenges are kind of, and it's a good challenge to have, but it's keeping up with demand. And I would sooner have it that way than the other way. I would sooner have people going, oh yeah, we need you to do such and such a job. It's like, okay, no problem. It might be a fortnight before I can get to you. And they go, yeah, no, that's fine. We know you work. We want you to do the job. It's yours. It's sound, and take it from there. That's quite a nice kind of challenge to have. But it does often mean that you're sort of running around sort of late at night sorting bits and bobs out, or particularly long days on site doing jobs and things. So it's not the biggest challenge in the world, and it's a nice problem to have. But I would say that, yeah, that's probably my biggest challenge. But I think, with it still being my first year, I want to say that my target would be to, at the very least, make a profit in my first year, which, I mean, it's looking promising, I'll say, and do another year and then do another year after that. But I kind of, if you don't mind me saying, my sort of long-term plan is I was in teaching for a period of time. I worked at Derby College doing sessional teaching in welding and fabrication, and I would like to get to a position where I can re-enter that sort of industry, because I felt it was really important, and showing people how to do things, but how to do things right, and giving them the best start they could possibly be to getting into that sort of industry. And then if we're going further down the line, Christ, let's do local politics and do all sorts of other stuff. So there's lots of like very big kind of benchmark goals, which they may or may not happen, but I'm going to try, maximum effort. So.
Brilliant. What a fantastic share again, and great learning as well for everybody. So finally, what's the best advice you'd give to an 18-year-old you?
18-year-old me, Christ. Make sure you've got enough of a nest egg that will carry you for 3 months with the business. I think that's just a nice safety net to have. Obviously, pay attention with the education, pursue education, because it's not, don't get me wrong, I think a lot of people are aware that not all education will be used, but it opens the door to talk to the people that will show you how to use it. So if you're mixing in particular circles that aren't focused on pursuing or pushing those limits or boundaries that they have professionally, then you need to find ways of going into the circles that are saying, well, no, it can be better than that. Why don't you try this? Or why don't you go and speak to so-and-so? He'll be able to put you in touch with them, and they might be able to sort it for you. And biggest of all is your network. Make sure your network is brilliant, because it really, and it's been said before by loads of other people, but your network is your net worth, 100%. If you can do the job and you've got a decent network of people around you that will either give you work or will put you in touch with work, you're sorted. I mean, I've done bits and bobs of advertising, but near enough everything I do is word of mouth, which I personally think is better. I think that's a better way to have business people going, oh yeah, go and see TMNG. They'll sort you out on that. They're good. I think that carries more weight in industry than necessarily advertising. Ford will put an advert on television for their cars. Rolls-Royce don't put adverts on television for the cars.
Yeah.
So it weighs there's different gravitas and weights to each thing, I think. But I mean, Christ, I'm not comparing myself to Rolls, but that's I think I think you probably get my idea. But,
Yeah, no, that's absolutely brilliant.
yeah.
Tom, that was a fascinating interview. Thank you, so much for sharing your journey, and the future's looking great. And we all know we've got to smash it. We've got to smash it.
Well, I really appreciate that. That's good to hear. Thank you. So,
Brilliant. Thanks for your time.
yes, no problem. Thank you.